Opening statements began today in the trial of a New Jersey man accused of killing his childhood friend, Sarah Stern, and throwing her body from a bridge on the Jersey Shore. But this murder case has some unusual factors. Joining us right now to discuss the case against Liam McAtasney is Cheryl Bader, and she is a Fordham University School of Law professor and also a former U.S. attorney with the state of New Jersey.
Assistant U.S. attorney.
Yeah. Well, okay, I gave you a promotion.
Okay, thank you.
A post-promotion, yes, a former assistant U.S. attorney in the state of New Jersey. Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here.
So in talking about this case, which was just, I remember when we were reporting on it, because first of all, we couldn't find Sarah and her family.
Tremendous tragedy.
So heartbroken. Her body has never been found.
Right.
In prosecuting a case like this, how do you do that?
It's a real uphill battle to prosecute a murder case when you don't have a body. It gives a very convenient argument for the defense attorney to say, look, members of the jury, the prosecutor has to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, and there must be some doubt in your mind as to whether this person is still alive or is missing. And people want to have that hope that somebody is still alive. So it does create that argument. But, and also, there's a certain lack of forensic evidence when you don't have a body, so things like hair fibers or ballistic tests or, evidence of sexual encounter, clothing fibers, things like that, that the prosecutor won't have the advantage of having. But I actually think that in this case, the prosecutor has quite a bit of key important evidence, and I actually think it's the defense attorney that's going to have the uphill battle here.
And why is that? I mean, is it also, let's mention that another young man took a plea deal in the case.
Yes, so that's one of the key pieces of evidence, is that they have the testimony of a cooperating witness who was the roommate of the defendant, and he took a plea and said, I helped dispose of this body and threw this body into the river. And so the defense attorney is going to have to face, why would somebody come forward and actually say that they disposed of a body and plead guilty, and he's in jail now for that, if they were lying? So the defense attorney faces that, and also there's a confession. Okay. So another friend taped a confession that the defendant gave that described how he actually sat there and watched her die. And so that's going to be pretty compelling testimony when they hear the words of the defendant himself.
Knowingly taped? I mean, the defendant...
So my understanding is he didn't know it was taped, but in New Jersey, right, it's a one-state rule. Right. So the individual who was taping it knew it was taped. And therefore, when you have a conversation with somebody, you take the risk that they're going to tell the police about it and that they're taping it even.
The defense, so back to a best strategy. Character, what?
Right. So, I think there is that issue of reasonable doubt without the body, and then I think the defense attorney is going to probably throw a lot of dirt against the wall and see what sticks. So one thing is challenging the confession, right? And my understanding is he's going to say that the person that he was talking to, this friend, is really sort of an amateur horror filmmaker, and so that it really wasn't a confession to what happened, but more of a sort of fantasy conversation about, this sort of story. Again, I think, when jurors listen to the tape, they'll have to hear, like, what does this sound like to them? There's that. There's the argument that, maybe the roommate who confessed, maybe he was the killer. Right? And if you think about sort of the prisoner's dilemma, maybe I'll kind of confess to being sort of the small fry, and I'll point a finger at the other, and then in a cooperating plea agreement, I can get a lesser sentence, and I'll be first sort of to do that. The classical prisoner's dilemma. So, might sort of say, look, he's really the one, and he's just trying to get a lesser sentence. So, I think the defense attorney is left in a position of sort of throwing around and seeing what sticks, because the prosecutor, obviously they're quite confident in their case, even though they don't have a body, because I understand they didn't even want to engage in plea negotiations. So they're looking for, he has to take a plea to all counts, full on.
Have you ever, did you ever prosecute a case like this, or can you recall one? and tell us what happened.
So, often prosecutors, and I've used circumstantial evidence in a case, and circumstantial evidence can be quite compelling, and you can tell a jury, look, you see, you may not see the rain out there, but if you see people walking in with a wet umbrella, right, there's rain. I haven't had a murder case in federal court. There aren't, murder is really sort of something that's usually handled in the, in the state court. But I recognize that the prosecutor here has a lot of things that they're trying to balance and really trying to show the jury that they can be confident in, in the evidence there to know that she was in fact killed.
I can imagine, in her family, of course, who's been in the courtroom.
Real tragedy.
Cheryl, thank you. Professor Cheryl Bader.
Thanks, it was great to be here.
Nice to have you here. Former Assistant U.S. District Attorney, State of New Jersey, as well as, of course, professor at the Fordham University School of Law. All right.